Doubt and fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. Hello to our amazing champion community watching this very amazing episode of Being Champions with Vaibhav Nahata. We will try to build a bridge between those who are champions and young people like you and me who aspire to become champions. All of us have noted one thing for sure as we grow up, the YY trend that has already keeping, it's keeping increasing, and we all are having so much of fun with it. And we have a man himself today, Mr. Nirvana Chaudhary, who has been inspiring so many of us through the CG, through the WaiWai initiative, but more importantly, as a human being, as a wonderful icon for youths who's coming up with all humility to inspire young people to do amazing things. Thank you so much, Nirvana, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you, Vaibhav, for inviting me to your show. I'm really humbled as well as honored that you've invited me to your show, and I really look forward to our interaction.
Indeed. So, many people know about you being the managing director at CG. Many people also know that you're doing amazing things. And many people say that it's all inherited and you got it. And people talk about that. But many of them don't know about the story of struggle that you choose to create, that even when you had the privilege of everything while studying, you went into working into restaurants, you went into doing different things to help yourself grow at the same time. So I have learned a lot from that journey of yours, but coming it from your mouth will be very super inspiring to all of our youths and teens watching this. So would you like to talk a little bit about how you challenge yourself to become a champion?
Well, Vaibhav, firstly, the fact that I was born into a family it was never my choice, right? This was something that was fate, that was something that was God given. So, like being born into this family, when life puts you in a particular situation, into particular circumstances, it's all up to you what you do out of it.
Right.
Right? That's what really differentiates you from being the general human being to someone taking advantage of the position that you're in, and making a difference and changing lives, and in your life as well. You're continuously evolving your life and becoming a better person day to day. So for me, I think when I grew up in a joint family. Our family has always been very conservative, at the same time very aggressive. When my great grandfather came into Nepal, my grandfather established his business in a humble way. My father took it to the next level, and that's what led the path for the next generation, right? So we are fourth generation into our business. So we were always told two things. Number one was, no matter what you choose to do in life, aspire to be the best at it.
Right.
And the second thing is that no matter what you choose to do out of your passion, out of your interest, always make sure that you remain and have that sense of humility in you, because you're already starting off on a different um, you know different scale. You're already starting off on a different platform. Now, if you want to, in that journey, get that respect, understand what's happening at the grassroots level, sense the pulse of things that you'll be involved in the future, going forward, where your qualified executives will be able to respect you. You need to start from the bottom. You need to be able to go all the way from the bottom, earn your way up to the top. And I guess coming with that family values is how our upbringing was done. So, while your upbringing and your sense of belongingness, or your sense of uh, humility, or your sense of your self-esteem and building yourself as an individual is there, but a very important component that we all do not really realize is, what is our purpose?
Right.
Why are we doing this? Why are we working day and night?
Hmm.
Maybe 5 years ago my purpose was to making our group as a group that is taking Nepal to the world, is providing world class products at affordable prices, is by providing world class products and services in Nepal. It's for taking Nepalese products and services beyond Nepal. Maybe that was what I was driven by.
Right.
I was driven by the fact of working with energetic people. I was driven with the fact that I was able to constantly, through a lot of experiences in a lot of business, constantly challenge myself and push the boundaries and do things bigger and better. But I think, Weber, over the last 5 to 6 years, my purpose has changed a little bit, or let's
Right.
say has evolved, where my purpose is more aligned to the fact that I want to be able to give back and do more for the people of our country. I want to do more for the society. I want to do more for the community. And that is why last 5 to 6 years, you would have seen that our foundation, our Chaudhary Foundation has been in the center stage of our group's activities, has been in the pivotal, in the heart of our overall activities that we do. No matter what new business initiatives or the current ones that we tend to do, our foundation, our CSR, our giving back plays a very important role, and that's been a very prime shift, a paradigm shift in my purpose. So, defining your purpose is very important in what you choose to become. That purpose really drives you. Coupled with the passion that you might have, the expertise that you might have, the resilience that you might have into achieving your goals needs to be still defined by the purpose for the larger thing. So I think for me that's changed quite a lot.
Indeed, defining your purpose makes sense, and it is really true. It makes sense, sir. But the challenge for all of our youths and teens is they want to build something big, they want to do amazing things, but where do I get started, right? What's the initial point that I have to take? And when it comes about finding purpose, finding passion, what impact I want to create, where does it all get started? Let's say there is a teen watching this. What's the first move going to be for that teen?
So, firstly, Vaibhav, there's always a misconception that if I'm part of a particular business organization that has a value of, say, 1,000 rupees, right? Now, I can choose to stay and make it into 1,000 rupees, or because of my inefficiency, I've been put in that position that 1,000 rupees can become zero as well.
Right.
But if I've if I've been able to define my way forward and my vision and my purpose clearly, my goal is to make 1,000, 10,000, right? So I'm fighting another battle. If someone is fighting a battle from reaching from 0 to 1,000, I'm fighting a battle from reaching from 1,000 to 10,000.
That's right.
So the dynamics and the scale of the battle is different, but it is still a battle. So my suggestion and my experience says that, we guys hear about a lot of success stories, especially in today's day of startups like Google, Facebook, etc., etc., and we are obviously profoundly moved by that, and we've got that utter sense of energy that even I can be the next Facebook and all of that. But it's probably less than 1% of the startups and businesses that we hear about that has been successful. We don't hear about the 99% of the businesses that's tried becoming the next Facebook or the next Google and has failed.
Right.
My suggestion and my experience says that don't rush into things. If you have a great idea, if you got the resources, sure, go forward with that idea. But that idea alone is not only important. What's more important is having that ability to execute that idea.
Right.
What's more important than that is bringing together a team who will help you to be able to execute that idea. Okay. My suggestion is when you're starting up slow, when you're growing up and you're starting small, you have the advantage of getting that experience from various companies and corporates
Right.
at it's at the same time getting paid for it. Get some work experience, build a particular track record, build a particular profile, learn from the company's investments or the resources which are not yours, which will give you the various learnings and dynamics of how an organization or how a company runs and functions. After you've been able to do that, you have a particular idea, always surround yourself with like-minded people who believe in your idea. One of the most important ethos for an entrepreneur is putting together the right people along with you. You talk about Steve Jobs, he had Wozniak. You talk about Bill Gates, he had Steve Ballmer. You talk about Google, you had the Google brothers with Eric Schmidt guiding them. So you always have the right people, team, uh, kickstarting that entire journey of an entrepreneur and taking to the next level. I think no matter how good a goal you have, how big a goal you have, how much resources you have, unless you have the right team to take you there, that's I think a very critical ingredient to have. So starting up, get work experience. Let when you go to angel investors or to banks or to any funding agencies with your plan, let them see your track record of what you've done.
Right.
Hear about what experiences or what milestones you've covered. Then your credibility of that proposal becomes much more stronger. Let them hear about the people in your team, because let me tell you, as an investor into many companies, I look at a particular idea and the potential for it, but and there's sustainability of the particular idea, but 50% of my weightage is the organization that's built around it, the people who have come together to make it. What is the profile of the people? What is the background of the people? What is the drive of the people? Do the people understand where they want to take it? Where do they want to take it? These are the
Right.
fundamentals that investors look at.
Right.
So, don't rush into things. Take it step by step. Learn, get experience, surround yourself with like-minded people, right people, and that is going to take you much far.
Amazing. Lot of insights back to back for all of the people. What I really loved out of this, and I'm sure you might be making notes of this, but was the fact that you need to bring along a team along with your vision. And everybody has their own battle to fight, everybody have their own Everest to conquer. And indeed, that makes sense. Now, one of the privileges that most of the people don't have that you had was a very wonderful support system in terms of Mr. Vinod Chaudhary, in terms of the system you are in, and a lot of stuff. What we need to understand is, at the end of the day, every man is a self-made man who gets guidance and who builds further. Of course, you're in a mission to create that impact. It started with values. So what are the key values that were inculcated within you when you were young, that are helping you now and are building you as a person and helping CG grow as a whole sum?
So, Vaibhav, you've already asked me two questions in this, right? So, the first
Right.
one you've asked me was regarding mentorship.
Right.
Now, if you go back 20 years ago or 10 years ago, you know, getting access to a mentor, getting access to someone, a successful personality, and learning from them would be very challenging, right? But in today's day and age, where you have access to YouTube, where you have access to various technology platforms, where you're able to, learn from people's lives, where you have access to ebooks or podcasts, where you're continuously learning from people's lives. I mean, the plethora of information out there is so much that you don't really need to have a mentor. I think the day you have one mentor, your decisions are going to be very one sided and biased. Today, you have that flexibility, that agility, that adaptability to listen to 10 different kind of entrepreneurs, listen to 10 different kind of this entrepreneurial journey, and pick up what's right for you in your journey. So
Right.
that's your answer. That's my views on your point on mentorship, right? Now, talking about values, like I mentioned to you, we grew up in a very conservative family, right? So uh, we look up to our grandfather quite a lot, who we consider as a very humble human being. So we've always grown up with the fact that humility is the first core value that you need to have. You know, where you need
Right.
to be able to, the bigger
Right.
you become, you need to stay that much more grounded.
Right.
You need to have that ability to listen to people, to listen to other people. You
Right.
need to be able to have that ability to constantly learn and educate yourself. The day you tell yourself that I know everything, you're finished.
Indeed.
Okay, so all that is humility. Humility. Why you can still be aggressive at the same time be humility. The second value we've always been inculcated is being compassionate. Having a mindfulness in terms of your sense of the chakras and the karma that you have, the energy that you have, the sense of purpose of giving back to the society is compassion.
Hmm.
To have that sense of compassion, and that you're not causing harm to people, you're not causing harm to any particular society or the population at large. You're doing good, you're making a difference in people's life. Third value that we've been inculcated is a strong sense of entrepreneurship. We see an opportunity everywhere.
Right.
I'll give you an example of the guy who owned Bata shoes. He sent two of his sales guys to a village and told them, please go and check how much shoes can we sell. And one guy came back and said, sir, no one wears shoes over here. I don't think we can sell any shoes. The other guy said, sir, no one wears shoes over here. Just imagine how many shoes we can sell. That sense of perspective of entrepreneurship, of seeing opportunity when there's chaos. when seeing how you can close the gap between demand and supply, where you can see products and services that's worked at a global level that might be relevant to your local context. Having the right sense of entrepreneurship is another value we've grown up in. You know, like that, having the value of working together with the team, respecting individuals, excuse me, also fulfilling that responsibility that you've taken
Right.
through resilience, through persistence, through hard work, and through honesty is how we've grown up. Today people talk about CG becoming like Ambani's or the Reliance. I really respect Reliance and Ambani's, but CG's goal is like to become like Tata's.
Hmm.
Core values are different. Our core values matches with the Tatas. We always look up to the Tatas and want to aspire to be like them.
Amazing learnings right there. One thing that really special about all of the things that you talk, perseverance, core values of compassion, all of that. One thing that could be really amazing for the audience is if you could point out any specific story or instance about this story. That could be. You do a lot of that in your series in YouTube called Making It Big, but we'd love to hear some of that today as well.
Well, I mean, I can share with you maybe one of the story of entrepreneurship, and that resonates with what you talked about of people who are wanting to starting up
Right.
small and wanting to become big.
Hmm.
I always talk about this entrepreneur in Manhattan, in America, who used to work in this tailor shop. And the tailor shop used to be owned by this Chinese couple. And the Chinese couple didn't have children, and they were getting old. They wanted to sell this prime piece of land where the shop was. So the salesperson who used to be working there told them that, why don't you sell it to me? And they were like, you work for us, how can you buy it? He said, please sell it to me, I will get the resources. So he went to the Hyatt family and told them, I have a prime piece of location in Manhattan. I will get the funding. Are you interested in setting up the hotel? He went to the bank and he said, our prime piece of location in Manhattan, the Hyatt family wants to come and set up a hotel. Are you ready to fund it?
Right.
So bank was ready, hotel was ready, land was ready, and he became the chairman of this company.
Hmm.
So the entire sense of art of deal, art of structuring deals, art of seeing the opportunities and connecting the resources is something which also is a value of an entrepreneur. And you grow up with that. I mean, especially coming from a business family, we grew up to listening to stories about what's happening in the business world in our dinner tables. 99% of our dinner tables while growing up didn't talk about where do we go for picnic or what do you want to do on holiday. It
Right.
talked about growth of a particular company, talked about partnerships, it talks about, how we're going to take the company to a different height. So we grew up with that. And that can same thing be applied to people today, again, by surrounding yourself with like-minded people, by
Hmm.
getting inspired by people who've been successful, reading about them, seeing their videos. You learn so much in today's day and age if you're able to leverage on the technology and the content that is available in today's day and age.
Indeed, a lot of that. Indeed, if we can open up the opportunities, that's how all the things happen. And if we don't find the gates of opportunity, knocking the door of opportunity, we can find new doors and create new doors if we don't find it. And that's what CG has been about, creating things that are unexpected and breaking through the challenges that exist to impact lives and to run businesses in a wholesome. As we come to the later part of today's interview, the last part of today's interview, before we go into the final section, one important question for everybody who's aspiring to make it big, there's an option, as we are young, to have some wonderful time creating memories with family, having some fun with friends, and at the same time concentrating and creating big things by building small right now when they're young. You did it when you were studying by working in a restaurant. You did it by working in commercial banks when you were young in the college itself. How do you make those choices of having fun over learning, or doing the right thing over the wrong thing, or is there a right thing and the wrong thing?
So, Vaibhav, they say that life is like a grinding stone.
Hmm.
Okay, it either polishes you up or wears you down, depending on what you are made up of.
Wow.
Right now, always look at your life, I always give this example of this analogy of this marble in a jar. Look at your life as a jar. When you are filling that jar with the various marbles, the size of the marbles can be different depending on your priority, depending on your importance that you're giving. So, for example, the jar which is a life, for me, my marble is my own health. So that goes right at the bottom. Unless my health is good, unless I'm taking care of myself, everything that I'm doing is futile. Then comes my business aspirations. Then comes my family. I mean, maybe not in that order. Then comes, my responsibilities in the society and the work that I'm doing. Then comes me taking a holiday every year. Then comes my new hobby. Then comes, so every individual needs to firstly ascertain and decide what their marbles that they need to place right at the bottom. The marbles right at the bottom going all the way at top are unmovable and not negotiable, right? Once you figure out your priorities and where they lie, then everything else, you pour a sand in that jar, the sand will go and settle on its own thing. That's inconsequential, irrelevant. But the marbles in the jar are intact. So the day you find out that my work, my family time, my time with my children, time for myself, my new hobby, you need to define these very clearly and put it in your jar. Once you're able to do that, you have a good work-life balance. You know exactly what your priorities are. You know exactly the weightage you put to all those priorities. And again, one of my closest friend is a monk, in Thailand, and he tells me that there was a gentleman who was working so hard in building this beautiful house. Nothing wrong with that, and it took him 5 years to earn and build that house. So, when he took his family to his house that he had built after 5 years, he thought all of them were going to be so happy. And they were happy, but they were not satisfied. You know why? Because they had lost out that 5 years of time with him. He was so
Right.
busy making money building that house, they
Hmm.
had lost out on that childhood, fatherhood time of theirs. So, a good work life balance, especially in today's day and age, is more important. And I think, if anything, 2020 has taught us, it is a good work life balance. If anything, 2020 has taught us is to redefining those marbles in the jar. So once you're able to define that, I think your 90% of your battle is already won.
Right, right, right. Amazing. A lot of learnings for our audience right there. Now, as we move into final part of today's episode, I have a surprise for you. Do you like surprises?
I like surprises. Shocks are a little difficult to digest, but surprises are always good.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much?
Well, that's what life is, right? Every
Uh-huh.
day, every moment you're living is a surprise, which is beyond your control, and
That's
you're taking on
interesting.
each moment and each life with how well you are prepared and how well you can take these surprises. Sometimes surprises can be negative, sometimes positive. Positive, you got to embrace it. Negative surprises, which comes in shocks, you need to be prepared for, overcome it, become stronger, and move on.
So, what are you expecting? What kind of surprise is coming out next moment right now?
Well, the fact that I'm having this discussion with you, and you've given me this chance to invited me and given me this chance to share my experience itself is a matter of honor and privilege for me. So anything above that is cherry, like they say, icing on the cake, cherry on the cake. So please.
Thank you so much. So you see, the humility in the unspoken parts is what I find key thing to learn from, Nirvana sir all the time. Every time I've seen him, every time I've seeked advice or guidance, you see that humility. Thank you for that, sir. Well, the surprise is simple. We're going to do a different kind of rapid fire round over here. What we're going to do is that I'm going to storm you out with random words, and you need to reply to that instantly with a maximum of single sentence. Sounds cool?
Let's go for it.
Okay, now our audience knows this. We did this with the world champion of public speaking and a lot of golden button YouTubers, a lot of part, right? But when it comes to this part, the champions as well get up and down. But we're gonna show it's going to be exciting to see how it works out with Nirvan sir. So here we go on the count of 3 to 1. The first one is Chaudhary Group.
A company that is taking Nepal to the world and touching life every day.
Binod Chaudhary.
Mentor, idol, friend, statesman, potential statesman, visionary leader.
Success.
You should not take it for granted. Success, you should continuously keep improving the benchmarking for it.
Dreams.
Greed,
Dream.
dream,
That's right.
uh, dream so much that it doesn't let you sleep at night.
Chocolates. Wow.
Right now, dark chocolates, regular chocolates are for my daughter only.
Daughter.
My life, my someone who's taught me that there is no limit to how much you can love someone.
Indeed. Nirvana Chaudhary is the word itself.
A father, a son, a colleague, a member of the Chaudhary Group family.
Vaibhav Nahata.
A young, inspiring, aspiring um, individual who's spreading the dreams, spreading the experiences, and motivating people beyond his age, at his age, and already making a difference.
Well, thank you so much for that new answer. I'm sure, very sure that our audience learned a lot of things from this amazing interview. To all the people watching this, remember you're one step away from becoming a champion, and that is the first step, the little initiative that you are to take. As we end and wrap this show right now, Nirvana, is there anything final words you'd like to share to all of our teens and youths watching this?
Vaibhav, I think the fact that you're at such a young age, you're doing such a popular show is something I must congratulate you for. The fact that let me end with a story of this particular philosopher was looking at this person collecting these live seashells coming to the beach. Whenever there's a wave that comes to the beach, there are hundreds and thousands of live seashells that come, and unless they get water, they die. So there was this guy. He was running across the beach, picking up each live seashell and throwing it back. So this philosopher came down and said, "What are you doing? What difference is it going to make?" So he picks up one live seashell and he says, "It's going to make a difference to this one, right?"
Right.
And that's exactly what you're doing as well. The fact that you are through experiences, through people's lives, through your own way, that it is possible to use technology to be able to communicate to like-minded people and get them inspired is something really good. And I congratulate you and your team for that. And again, thank you so much for having me in your show.
Thank you so much for coming down for this wonderful episode. So, really thankful that even you have so much going on, you put out time to inspire young teens. With this, thank you so much, Nirvan. So, once again, thank you so much, our champion community, watching this special episode of Being Champions. I'm so excited to see you next week on Being Champions. Until then, remember, you're one initiative away from becoming a champion. Thank you so much for watching today.